Good morning, children. Today I am going to take the third chapter of SST, Movements of the Earth. In ancient times, people believed that the earth was stationary and heavenly bodies moved around it. So, what are heavenly bodies? Heavenly bodies are natural celestial objects visible in the sky, such as star, planet, natural satellites, asteroids, comet, the moon, or the sun. Nicholas Copernicus, an astronomer, first said that the earth spins on its axis and moves around the sun. Thus, the earth has two types of movements, rotation and revolution. So, today we are going to study these movements one by one. What is rotation? Earth rotates around an invisible axis. The term rotation means to spin around at the same place. It takes the earth about 24 hours or 1 day to complete one rotation. So, our earth moves from west to east. We know that the sun rises from east and sets in the west. So, remember that the earth starts rotating from the opposite direction, that is from west to east. Now, we will understand it with the help of this picture. This is the axis, this is an invisible axis, and the earth is rotating on this axis from west to east. And to complete this rotation, the earth takes 24 hours or 1 day to complete this rotation. So, what is rotation? The movement of the earth on its axis is called rotation, and earth takes 24 hours to complete one rotation. Now, children, you can see in this picture, the earth while rotating is tilted on its axis. Now, you can see here in this picture that the earth is tilted on its axis. See, this is the axis, so it is tilted on its axis by 23.5 degree from a straight line running from the center. See, this is the straight line. So, the earth is tilted at 23.5 degree from a straight line running across the center of the earth. Now, how day and nights are formed? Days and nights, the rotation of the earth on its axis causes day and night. So, what causes day and night? The rotation of the earth on its axis from west to east causes day and night. We know that the earth is spherical in shape. As the earth is moving on its axis, as the earth is moving on its axis, only half of the earth receives the light of the sun at a particular time, and the part which receives light has day and the other half has night. So, the tilt of the earth causes variation in day and night time. So, this tilt causes variation in the day and night time. So, now you can see it in this picture that this part of the earth is receiving sunlight. So, this part is having day and the other part will have night. Now, 1 day is of 12 hours. 12 hours day we have and 12 hours night. The duration of the day and night varies as one goes away from the equator. As we move away from the equator, the duration of the day varies. Now, what is revolution? Now, we have learnt about rotation. So, rotation is that earth is moving on its axis at one place only. But what is revolution? In revolution, the earth not only spins at its position but also moves around the sun at the same time at a fixed orbit. Now, you can see this picture here. So, the earth is spinning on its axis also, and at the same time it is moving around the sun in this direction. So, this is the orbit. This path which we can see here is the orbit. So, the earth is moving on its fixed orbit around the sun. So, this movement of the earth is known as revolution. Now, how seasons are formed? Now, children, do you remember what is Earth's axis? It is the imaginary line on which the Earth rotates. So, the axis is the imaginary line on which the Earth rotates. Now, the revolution of the Earth is responsible for changing of season. So, rotation is responsible for day and night, and revolution is responsible for changing of season. Now, we know that the equator divides the earth into two halves known as northern hemisphere in the upper part of the earth and southern hemisphere in the lower part of the earth. So see how the earth is moving on its orbit, and as it is moving the seasons changes. Now we can go to this figure and understand this. Now children, see how the earth is moving on in its orbit. This is the revolution of the earth and how the revolution of the earth causes change in season. So now let us understand with the help of this diagram. See here. Now you go, let us see position A here. In position A, northern hemisphere is more tilted towards the sun than the southern hemisphere. So in this position, the northern hemisphere is hotter and experiences summer, and southern hemisphere will have winter. See, you can see here this part of the earth is having tilted more towards the sun. So this part will have summers, that is, this is the northern hemisphere, so this part will have summers and the southern hemisphere will have winters. Now as the earth moves, and now let us see the position B. The sun rays falls directly on southern hemisphere. Now the sun rays are falling directly on the southern hemisphere, while the northern hemisphere receives the slanting rays of the sun. So the southern hemisphere will experience summer, and meanwhile the northern hemisphere will have winters. Now in position A, northern hemisphere was having summers, and now in position B, the northern hemisphere is having winters. Now let us see these positions C and D. Now see what is happening in this position C and D. C and D, the sun rays falls directly on the equator. As a result, the earth have equal duration of day and night throughout the world. It is neither very hot nor very cold. The northern hemisphere has spring in position C and autumn in position D, and the southern hemisphere has autumn in position C. See here, you can see that in position D, southern hemisphere is having spring here, and in this position C, southern hemisphere is having autumn here, and northern hemisphere is having spring here, and now here the northern hemisphere will have autumn in this position. Now see, now you can see here how the earth is moving and how the positions are changing. Now see here how it is moving on its orbit, and this moving of the earth on its in this fixed orbit causes seasons.